Greetings everyone, and welcome back to Draven's continuing adventures into the Iliac Bay. In the last video, we had received a quest from Sindasa and had performed a favor for her, killing her brother, who had been turned into a werewolf. And in return, we had gained information about a letter sent to the Dowager Queen Minnesera. So we have two tasks, because we had also received a letter from the Perpetual Order of Kinnereth about some dire help, which we only have one day to arrive to that destination. So we're going to collect the main quest first, we're going to talk to Minnesera, and then we're going to see if we can get to the Perpetual Order fast enough, and, hopefully it's some sort of artifact quest. Hello, Sir Draven Silverblood. I have heard much about you. Now you come to me with a very interesting tale of deception. So Sindasa the maid says that Abki opened a letter from the Emperor addressed to me. I can tell you, sir, that she never delivered such a letter to me. I would like you to investigate this further, Sir Draven Silverblood. It could be dangerous to poke into the affairs of Abki without enraging King Gothrid, even though he is my own son. Are you willing? Yes. Good. I have long had my suspicions about Abki's loyalty to the Emperor. She is a daughter of the late King Cameron, who ruled Hammerfell from his citadel in Sentinel. My husband, King Lysandus, Kinnereth, rest his soul, died at Cregane, as did King Cameron. Lysandus's body was not recovered, so he has a monument erected there, rather than a true tomb. Ah, my mind wanders. The Emperor uses Morgara Ashheart as his messenger in Daggerfall. She could be anywhere in the region delivering missives. However, Morgara Ashheart is a member of the Knights of the Dragon. Go to the Blackguard and the Savage Fairy Hostel and ask for Barbona Copperwing. She may know where to find Morgara Ashheart. Try to find out why a letter addressed to me was delivered to Abki. Okay, and now we're being attacked. I mean, how can we... Draven wants to handle this civilly, but we may not have that opportunity. Alright, let's get out of here. You douse the dungeon torch. Okay, so let's see the location first, because we only have a day. For now, let's put this armor away in the wagon. And some books. The Legend of Lover's Lament, we read that. The Brothers of Darkness. Let's put away a tent, or some camping equipment for now. Fragment and Artaeum, King Edward, Rude Song, Etiquette with Rulers. Yeah, for now this is the stuff that will get put away. Where's the first scroll of Bondar? Because I just saw it. That's the book I think I will read at the end of the video. I guess I can't find it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, let's go to the Perpetual Order of Kinnereth. Let me see, where's the letter? A Harsley residence, okay. So hopefully we have the time to get there. I'm kind of scared, right? Because that's really a short amount of time. I'm thinking that perhaps I can leave the town, travel there manually, and go on horseback, but we may get attacked a lot. However, I don't know if fast traveling, because let's see, just the regular fast travel, we have to rest at an inn. I don't know if that automatically wastes a day. But then again, if we travel by foot, we're going to experience a lot of opposition, and I think that will delay Draven's journey toward said destination. So I don't know what we're gonna do here. First, let's cast some stamina, so Draven doesn't pass out and die. And I'm pretty sure he's freezing. No, he's quite well, but it's a bit he's a bit burdened. Let's see. I mean, our encumbrance is pretty good for now, at least. I think we're gonna try the travel route, the fast travel route, and just hope for the best. I don't think we have to type the whole thing. I think it was The Oracle, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let's do recklessly. Hopefully that gives us sort of what we need, right? To survive. And, well, not survive, but get there in time. Okay, so let's do a quick save. I think it was F9. Yes, I looked up the buttons because I hate, you know, the slow saving. And let's talk to a citizen and see where the Hearthley residence is. General, Hearthley residence, southwest. Okay, he pointed it on the map. Okay, so that's not too bad. It should be this one, right? Yeah, alright. A tripwire snaps behind the door as you push it open. A bell sounds deeper within the house. You hear a shout. It worked, boys! Come on! I think... Is this a trap? I mean, we could rest, right? No, there's enemies nearby. Was this a trap, or is this man just being attacked and he needs our help? Okay, those are mages. And this could prove somewhat dastardly to Draven's health, since he is weak against magic. There's a dwarven flail, that's something we're going to take in this book. So who wants Draven dead? Unfortunately, Spellsword, they have picked the wrong Dark Elf to try to slay Werewolf's Blood, Helm. I don't think I'm going to take any of these things. Yeah. Let's cast some stamina. Alright, I think that should be good for now. There's enemies nearby. I don't think they have a Sabertooth. What, did they bring a Sabertooth as part of the ambush? That's kind of ridiculous. A very scantily clad Breton female, I'm assuming. She's a... Whatever manner of trap this was, you hope the fools have learned their lesson. Okay, so that was just a straight trap set for Draven. Someone obviously wants Draven dead, but they have failed miserably in their task. Unfortunately, we couldn't check the scantily dressed, I'm assuming Breton wizard, and see if she had anything of value. Hold on, I want to talk to him. He has nothing to say. I'm going to assume, from a roleplay perspective, he was forced to do this, and Draven's going to let him live, because Draven's not in the habit of hurting, you know, weak men who don't want to do things, and they're just forced to do it. He doesn't see it as their fault. They learned their lesson, but who did it in the first place? That's something that I would like to know. So right now I'm debating on two things, and either I do a quest for Mara, because I would like some sort of, you know, I feel like Draven's neglecting his religious duties. He's a worshipper of Mara. Or if we should continue on with the main quest. Let's see, we have to... The Savage Fairy Hostel. So I'm assuming that's in Daggerfall, right? The Savage Fairy. Let's type that in. Yeah, that's in Daggerfall. I think we're gonna cautiously travel, take the 2 days. Draven could use the rest. I don't want to normally travel and just face some sort of opposition. Maybe later on when we have to go somewhere else because, you know, maybe to get some sort of... And that's an airship. Oh, I don't think we're going to get to see it. The weather is freezing. You know, maybe discover some niceties out in the forest. Okay, so there has to be... Let's check the letter again. Well, the quest log. Okay, so this entire place is called the Savage Fairy Hostel. Maybe we could ask about Barbona Copperwing. Right, the Black Guard. I think that's what Minnesera said. So it's been pointed out on the map. It's this tavern right here, I believe. Perfect. All right. And we're gonna quick save just in case something happens. Yeah, none of you can obviously be Barbona. And hopefully Barbona is not a naked Redguard woman or a naked Breton woman. And hopefully we don't run into one. Okay, nice room. And this is just pointless. I'm gonna assume it's the Redguard woman? Hey, Dark Elf, do you think the King of Worms is real, and would you be willing to help? Okay, this is random. And would you be willing to take some fool like me to meet him for money? No. Yeah, go jump in a lake then. Yeah, Draven's not going to help you kill yourself. That's the sort of thing Draven's going to avoid. You're a fool, and you could do that on your own. So her head's clipping through the ceiling. That's classic. And but I'm assuming this is Barbona. I am Barbona Copperwing. I would not normally tell anyone who is not a Knight of the Dragon where to find Morgana Ashheart. However, I am loyal to Queen Minacera. I also know that Morgana Ashheart disemboweled the last person that tried to ambush her. In 33 days, she is due to be at Palace in Rayford. Try her there. Okay. 33 days. Alright, so she's not going to be there the entire time. There's something a little ridiculous about this, right? The palace doesn't have a name. I mean, I know it's in Rayford, but it couldn't be called Rayford Palace or something of that sort. But I guess that's what we're gonna do. And don't worry, Draven is not worried about being disemboweled. I mean, now that I think about it, perhaps Draven should have helped her. Perhaps it's better that he protect the fool than let her die by herself. But maybe she'll never find it, because anyone who is trying to talk to a necromancer is either a mad genius or they're just a fool and they take life for granted. Alright, she's a Redguard peasant. What does she know? But, I don't know. Hope she doesn't die. Now, obviously, I'm doing too much thinking into it, but it's a role-playing game, right? You gotta think about the world around you. So let's find Rayford. And, that was a terrible spelling. It's gonna take 2 days to get there, camp out 13 hours. I think what we're gonna do is a camp out, right? Hopefully, we don't run into too much opposition. I'm hoping to at least run into a band of orcs, perhaps, but not too much. Or at least something interesting in the wild. If not, we're just going to fast travel the rest of the way. Okay, let's stop it here. And let's make a quick save. And let's resume the journey. Or was it Rayford? And if we can do a little bit more, then, you know, just a little bit more sightseeing, it might turn out to be fruitful. In this weather, it's probably not the most practical approach, but, you know, I just want to see something, at least. I guess what we could do is hang out in Rayford for a little bit, for 33 days, and then finally go to the palace. Perhaps get a few Fighters Guild quests. There you are, fiend. Drop your weapons, or be struck down where you stand. Wait, you idiot, that isn't him. Ambushed in the wilderness, you run into a party of bounty hunters looking for a notorious outlaw. Sorry about that. With this murder at large, everyone is on edge. Okay, so they're female bounty hunters. I expected them to be men. Could we perhaps talk to them? Unfortunately, we cannot. A ranger, warrior, and a healer. I guess that's a good party. Alright. Oh, well, we do have some men over here. A knight, alright, and a barbarian. Alright, well, this is an interesting band of heroes, but unfortunately, it doesn't really help Draven now, does it? Yeah, let's continue the journey. I was hoping we'd get into some sort of melee there. You drink from your water skin. I don't think we're gonna have any sort of melee, right? Some sort of combat situation. I want to run into a band of orcs, even though I like orcs quite a bit. you know, perhaps to see if they have orcish weapons or at least something to sell. I don't know how much ebony is going to cost to repair, because that is the main reason I'm avoiding keeping any sort of ebony weapons and armor. I mean, I have the Daedric Greaves, but that's also something I'm going to get rid of. You spot a set of animal tracks. They seem fresh. Do you wish to spend some time on the hunt? Yes. You find traces of rabbits in the area. You spot movement in the underbrush and attempt to get closer. After some time, you have the animal within range, and you lunge. The rabbit is too quick and scampers away. Okay. Alright. I don't think we're going to find anything. Let's cast some stamina. Let's just travel to Rayford the best way we can, and let's fast forward it. Yeah, there we go. Let's go by inn, and it'll take 2 days to get there. I was hoping, because I obviously I'm not going to sit the entire travel length, but I was hoping to have a more fulfilling random encounter, perhaps run into like a bandit keep or something. That's why I wasted so much time doing it, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Anyway, let's find the palace. I don't think she'd be there now. Let's check the quest log. In 31 days. Okay, so we actually don't have to hang about here, I guess. I mean, what could we do for 31 days? Let's check our affiliations. We could do something for Mara. Initiate. Yeah, we're losing reputation with her. That's something I don't want. The Order of the Raven, our knightly order, the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild. Now here's the thing. I made a spell sword, or a battle mage, or in this case an arcane knight, and I like magic quite a bit. However, I enjoy it a bit more in Morrowind because of the conjuration school and how it's a little bit more methodical, I guess you could say. Like, you have to take time to cast your spell sort of thing. Alright, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to the palace. I'm going to cast Recall there. And then we will return in a month or so, I guess. But we don't want to lose the time that she's going to appear, because then Draven has to, right, sort of pop back. I guess we could dungeon delve, right? And waste the time there, get some loot in the process, some gold. Let's see what sort of things we have to sell. I mean, I have a few good things to sell. Mainly this armor. We need the camping equipment, right? Actually, we have 3 kits. Let's sell the Daedric longbow. I don't know why we're holding on to that. Okay, so I think I'm going to go... Let's see where the map is. Is there a market square? No, we're going to have to ask around for directions about where perhaps we could find a blacksmith, an armorer, or a weaponsmith. Well, apparently they don't have armorers. That's kind of disappointing. They do have a fighters guild, and I'm wondering if we should assist them. 3 soldiers barge into the inn. Hey, I need a round for me and my boys, the bravest bunch of all of Daggerfall. And this is something that Draven didn't want happening, right? They're brawling right in front of the civilians. Should we get involved? We're getting involved. We're gonna take the gold. Right, for the sake of the civilians. They're savages here. They're killing each other right... I mean, where's the Daggerfall guard? And I don't know who she is, but she's proving to be quite the menace. She's giving Draven a run for his money. He's gonna have to use a healing spell. Yeah, look at this. She's taking a lot of abuse. Draven is gonna need to use some magic in order to level the playing field. She was tough. Draven has to give her the benefit of the doubt, and she only had crappy weapons, so she was quite the warrior. A Nord, perhaps. Nothing, unfortunately. What about you? I guess we could take the gold. Alright, let's put our weapons away. Let's get some bread and cheese. And some red wine, right? Draven likes to be fancy, you know, sometimes. But he's more of an ale person, but he definitely loves his wine. And, let's get some rest. I guess for 13 days, it doesn't matter, it'll be free. And, we cleared his tavern of ruffians. Despite the blood on the floor. But I guess this is like a medieval village, and I'm pretty sure they've seen it all before. Anyway, let's see if we can find... No, we're in Rayford right now. In Shalgora, would there be a Temple of Mara? I want to do something for Mara. No, that's Kinnereth. Well, I thought I clicked Shalgora. RK. What about Anticlair? Weeping Redeemer of Mara. Okay, so we do have something there. It's going to take 2 days to get there, which kills time. And I'm hoping to do at least like a small quest. Maybe a dungeon. But let's see what they're going to give us. You know, do the quest lists and so forth. Alright. A cursed weapon, a sacrifice, delivery. Now, what's a sacrifice about? The expiatory sacrifice. They tell me that you're quite loyal to the temple. I need you to perform a vital task for us. Mara has become angry with us. You need not concern yourself with why. Our only hope is to hold a rite of atonement. We need fairy dragon scales for the ceremony. My sources tell me that some can be found in the monastery of Dispanixville. Will you bring it to us? Yes. The ceremony must be held within 18 days. The temple will reward you with 273 gold for this. Only untainted fairy dragon scales will do. Mara's blessing is upon you, so that you will know it when you find it. Okay, so this might be, I mean, what a name for a dungeon, right? Let's see if we can find it. There's a little island over there. Could this be it? Dispanixva. Alright, okay. Yeah, that's it. It's gonna take 4 days. So that's not too bad, right? That's already time being wasted until, Morgara Ashheart, I believe. The one who disembowels people. But you won't be able to disembowel Draven. He's pretty sure of that. Alright, so this is a dungeon. Should we... Let's check how many days we have left. 25 days, right? We might get lost in this dungeon, but... You know, if we fail this, I guess it's not that big of a deal. I think it would be safe, right? You gotta be kidding me. This is it. I can feel the purity of the fairy's dragon scales. Now to get it back to Christoric Kingdom. Okay, hold on. That was ridiculous. We don't need to recall at all. It was right there. I guess quest completed. But, you're somewhat wet. But you know what we're gonna do? Hold on. We're gonna delve into this dungeon, right? At least for a little bit. And see if we could find perhaps some equipment. Let's make another quick save before we end the video. And then, you know, in the next video, or maybe we'll go back and give the quest before we end the video, depending how long what we do in this dungeon is. Alright, so I think Draven's wet. Is a heavy burden. Yeah, it's the inventory. No wonder he's kind of slow. Okay, so let's go back up. Yeah, here we go. I was getting worried that we had gotten lost. Let's put away all this stuff because it's taking quite a bit of space. I think for now that would do. I guess we could use the camping kit. Get some rest. No, that's not what I wanted to do. It's gonna further degrade the kit. I don't think we have anything to cook. Yeah, let's just get a full night's rest. Well, not a full night, but until he's healed. right? Should Draven sleep? No, he's rested. Okay. So let's pack it up. And I think we're good for now, actually. I just want to see if there's any humanoids here, any treasures, anything that we could find that would give us new equipment. And if it's just ghosts, because Draven hates fighting ghosts, we're just gonna leave. I'm hoping it's definitely not one of those sort of ventures. Well, there's some gold in here. We're gonna take the gold. How much gold do we have on us right now? Actually, forget it. Let's just keep looking. Have we been down here? No, we have not. Could this be a switch? No, it's not a switch. I'm gonna take the gold potion of levitation. I guess that could be useful, you know, not cast a spell when we have other things to cast, like cure poison, or because I feel like we get poisoned quite a bit. That's been one of the things that has killed us several times in this this playthrough. All right, so yeah, I think we're just gonna leave. I don't think there's any sort of reward. It seems to be rather bland, because at least usually, oh, we hear crazy laughing women. Are those the nymphs? I hate the nymphs. I think Draven hates the nymphs as well. I think he's terrified of them. No, we don't want to make any notes. Let's see. Okay, so we're actually heading the wrong way. We're just gonna turn in this quest. Let's make this turn here. And then here. Alright, and then up. Because if I cast recall, I'm going to be back at the palace. Yep, we're heading the right way. I just get the gut feeling. I know we didn't explore fully, but I just get the gut feeling it's an epic waste of time. There's enemies nearby. Our Frost Daedra, let's get out of here. It's an unnecessary fight, right? Draven could probably handle the Frost Daedra, but not without injury or some sort of effect, and it just doesn't seem to be worthy at the moment. Alright, so we have to go back to Weeping Redeemer. It's going to take 4 days to get there, which is perfect. Running in Destruction has leveled up. I'm hoping we get a level up overall, but I don't think we are. We didn't really do much. In any case, that was an easy quest, and let's see how much time we have. 21 days. So we still have some time. We could either do another quest or do something for the Fighters Guild, which is a lot more profitable, I guess you could say. You have it, Fairy Dragon Scales. Mara will be pacified. You have done well. Here's your reward. 273 gold pieces. That's great. Congratulations, Sir Draven Silverblood, for all your efforts toward the greater glory of Mara. We have raised you to the rank of Acolyte. With this change in title, you're also gaining access to our cauldron, where our chemists devise potions for our temple. You need no longer travel to the Mages Guild in order to purchase necessary potions. Okay, so that's great, right? Let's kind of see what potions they have, because I think it would be useful to have some potions in case we need to, you know, save our reserve of mana to cast something else. I just want to make a donation, not of 1,000, but 100. I thank you for your donation, but I caution you against thinking that Mara is for hire for any sort of transgressor. No, Draven is just loyal to Mara, and he believes that those funds should be put, you know, to use in order to help the people of High Rock. So who sells, well, she does training. I guess we could put into etiquette. Let's do restoration. It's a bit pricey. Let's see our restoration right now. 41. Alteration? Would she train in that? Alteration? Etiquette, she would... No, I don't think it's worth to pay that much for now. Let's see the potions. Potion of water walking, levitation, and invisibility. You have absolutely nothing right now. Invisibility, yeah. Okay, so useless, but not that feature totally, just probably her store. Because I imagine the other temples, right, they would have sort of filled stock in terms of potions and so forth. Alright, so I think for now, we're gonna call it. And in the next video, we're going to do a quest for another guild. I think Draven should get out the cold at first. And maybe we should read a book to end the video. Fragments in Artaeum. Maybe. If you don't like this sort of part, then you could definitely skip it. I think for now, yeah, we're gonna read the first scroll of Bondar. Because I don't believe we have read that. Let's see what other sort of books we have on our list. Devad the Singer. I remember reading that. Right? Jafir. I remember reading that. The Asylum Ball. I don't think we did read that. I remember reading the Redguard book because that was actually my favorite book. That makes me want to play a Redguard in Morrowind, which I will get around to very soon. The Rude Song. Did we read King Edward Part 1? It's a long series, right? Will it be a series that we're going to read all of it? It's quite the long entry. But it might be interesting, because, looking at it right now, departure from Daggerfall, long, long ago, when the world was in its springtime, before the Redguards came and the glorious Septim Empire was formed, but after the goblins had driven the dwarves out of Hammerfell. A son, Edward, was born to King Corsair I of Daggerfall and his queen, Ilaria of Wayrest. The young boy lay drowsing in the palace orchard, high on a breezy hill overlooking the deep blue bay of Daggerfall. The constant autumn fog of Daggerfall had blown away for the nonce, and the sky was a deep, endless blue. Moments like this were rare for young Prince Edward. This afternoon was the result of days of scheming, for he craved solitude, as the other nobles he knew craved companionship. Now his tutor believed him engaged in extra arms practice. The master of arms believed him to be chasing deer with the huntsmaster, who thought he was studying Elvish. His father had no idea where he was and didn't care, being occupied with his young wife and their sons and other pleasures of noble life. At the plop of an apple barely missing his head, he opened his pale gray eyes. There was a sweet, rotten smell in his nostrils. He sighed and stared up into the blue. Why should things fall down instead of up? If you stared at the sky long enough, you could feel as if you were falling into it. His eyes glazed, and the pupils grew huge as the dark-ringed irises dilated. He was weightless, drifting. Another apple fell, grazing his ear, and he thudded to earth. Crying out, at first his rump struck, and then his head. A silvery laugh sounded. Edward sat up abruptly and stared around, jaw hanging slack. Two mountain men stood 10 feet away, still as if they were carved from stone, regarding him intently. Princes are not easily intimidated, not even the gentle-souled kind. But Edward had never seen or imagined anything like this pair. One had golden skin and eyes, was clad in white cloth trimmed with gold, and rode Edward blinked. Was still there, a unicorn. Beside the unicorn was a golden dragon, wings neatly folded, and on his back was a man clad in dark chainmail, a long sword at his side. He was bareheaded. His eyes glowed red in his dark face, and his pointed ears. You're elves. What? Now hold on. before I continue this, how does a dark elf ride a golden dragon? That's something, or a unicorn for that matter. I'm just very confused because aren't like dragons like this big Nordic thing? I know there's a few Nords who like shouted dragons into submission and rode them in the air, but that was Nords, right? How did he ride a dragon? Now, I know the Imperials, Nefelargus. I don't remember the dragon's name. He's a red dragon. Nefelargus. I know they somehow got him in control, but, you know, Tiber Septim was alive. He was a dragonborn. I'm very confused, but, I'm gonna continue reading. He's a clever child. The dark elf's voice was sardonic. He spoke perfect Bretic. Edward noticed, his mind still working, although something seemed to have gone wrong with the rest of him. So it would seem he did that mostly of himself, remarkable for an untrained child. I merely helped him to concentrate. The high elf also spoke Bretic, but hesitantly, and with a slight singing accent. Edward's tutor said that elves were incapable of human speech. That's pretty terrible, right? Imagine that's some sort of Breton racism. Let's continue. Edward's gaze shifted rapidly over the four beings in front of him. Unable to find a comfortable resting place, he hoped briefly, fervently, that he was dreaming. His mind seethed with questions and demands. Then quite suddenly his tongue came unstuck. But I wasn't concentrating at all. My masters all say I'm incapable. Edward clamped his jaw down hard, suddenly realizing that it might be unwise to argue with blessings such as these. But the golden elf smiled broadly, showing perfect white teeth. Exactly. He radiated such warm approval that Edward felt his skin tingle pleasantly. It was a feeling that he had only known with his long-gone mother. But the other elf's face was expressionless. The red eyes bored into Edward, as if they would pierce his soul. Morelane, you're Morelane, the Witch King. He jumped to his feet and faced the dark elf. You stole my mother. My father will kill you. Hold on. And again, I'm just simply bamboozled. What in Tamriel's nature is a Witch King? What does that classify as, right? I feel like this is one of those forgotten Elder Scrolls things that they just never continued to expand upon. And why is the Dark Elf the bad one here? Now, I'm not criticizing the story at all. I actually like it. I'm just very perplexed about all this. And I like how the High Elf, right, is the friendly one. And Draven's definitely not a Witch King. But, you know, let's continue reading this the story. I did. Will he? Shall we call him and find out? The dark elf straightened, and his eyes glowed deeper. A tiny puff of steam escaped the dragon's nostrils. A glowing aura appeared around his companion. Edward knew he wasn't going to call the guard. Why should they be slaughtered? These two looked capable of anything. Quite suddenly, he was no longer afraid. If they were to hurt him, they'd have done it by now. But a feeling of impotent rage, remained. They'd taken his mother, and now... Why are you here? He demanded. Edward, will you come with us? The high elf spoke. Hearing him was like hearing a harp, cool as a breeze, warm as a fireside. The boy stood very still. He wanted very much to say yes. To his own amazement, he wanted to ask if he would see his mother. But instead, my father, he croaked. We'll miss you, no doubt. The irony was back in Morelane's voice, a voice that make Edward think of icicles, sparkling and dripping in winter sun. But there was a sort of hunger in his glowing eyes, a longing. This is kind of weird, right? It should be made. But anyway, let's continue. His father wouldn't miss him, and he knew it. Shame ran through the boy, but he looked up at the broad-shouldered elf defiantly. Are you my father? Edward had meant the question to match the elf's sarcasm, but his hand crept to his ear as if of itself. He wasn't anything like his short-tempered, hardy, red-haired father, and Rowan often said he had an elven look. There was a heavy silence, and Edward sensed that Morelane was taking the question at face value, but that truth had nothing to do with what Morelane would say next. He would give the expedient answer still. No, it came reluctantly. He might be lying, of course, but Edward felt a deep wave of relief. Does my mother have other sons? Suddenly, Edward knew she did not, and that the question would hurt the dark elf, and was glad. Your mother might be dead for all you know, or Carrot, it seems. The dark elf's narrow nostrils twitched as if Edward stank, and the lines around his mouth deepened. She was not dead, Edward would have known. The bitter injustice of Morlane's contempt stung. Did she send you to me? Do you take me for an errand boy? He snapped, and spoke to his companion. Let us take him now and be gone. We may discuss it at leisure. The golden elf held up his hand. Patience, my cousin. And to Edward, well, youngling, will you come? Dark tales were told of human children kidnapped by elves, who hungered for young humans. I don't know your name, Edward temporized. Do you love your life here so much? Edward looked at the palace in the distance, the banners floating lazily above, the town below, the sparkling bay, the distant mountains. I love Daggerfall. I want to continue and say one thing before I read the next line. I just love the human fear automatically of elves, right? And maybe it's not so much a fear, but racism. I know like a lot of Nords killed a lot of dark elves and sent them running back to the hills. But obviously, we all know like what the elves did first in terms of like the gut guardians and all that sort of, terrible things. I don't think the dark elves had anything to do with that, but you can obviously see like the fear in the book, and not just the fear, but the hatred and the willing to, from events that happened before. But it's interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna continue. And you shall return to hold it. Prince Edward, I, Iric, Harad Egun, the Archmagister, swear it to you. Morlane swung about, protesting sharply in Elvish. The dragon spat a bit of flame, but the unicorn did not move. Its golden eyes regarded Edward steadily. Unicorns do not abide any sort of falsity. The words floated through his mind in his mother's voice. I, Rick, Harad Egun, the Archmagister, I will come with you. You must ride with Morlane. The Lord Akatosh has consented to this necessity. The elf made a sweeping gesture toward the dragon. He wasn't fit to touch a unicorn, of course. Very well, then I don't suppose I could bring my dog. Where was he? Shag was always with him, asleep in the grass. Shag, the ever alert? Edward knelt to touch him. A heated discussion in Elvish ensued, during which the dragon scorched the grass. Morlane swung down and picked Shag up with distaste. Very well then, but I warn you that Akatosh is at the limit of his patience. Mount then. Lord Akatosh, I am most deeply obliged by your indulgence, if I may ever repay it. You will, Morlane interrupted. He seized Edward by the belt and tossed him up onto the dragon. Edward settled himself between the dragon's neck and wings, and the sleeping Shag was draped limply in front of him. There isn't room for, Edward began and jerked in astonishment, as the dragon shifted beneath him and grew larger, much, much larger. Morlane vaulted up behind with a prodigious leap for one in armor. The unicorn jumped the 9-feet wall, clearing it neatly. The dragon's great wings stretched. He crouched, then leapt into the air. His riders swayed wildly. The dark elf muttered something Edward couldn't understand in Elvish, and they steadied. The wings beat strongly, and the dragon circled low over the keep, gaining altitude slowly. People were running about now, shouting and pointing. Edward saw his old nurse and waved and shouted, "Goodbye, goodbye, I'll be back sometime." Arrows flew through the air as bowmen shot, while the nurse screamed and clutched at the arms of those nearest. King Corsair ran naked onto the battlements, screaming and waving his fists. "Child of a demon, come back and I'll thrash you within an inch of your worthless life. Morlane, come down and fight like the man you aren't." Morlane's loud laughter rang clear as tempest bells cascading over the keep. He shouted, "Be glad I don't, little king of the small cock." Oh, please tell me that's exactly what he meant. The dragon circled almost lazily and let out a huge gout of flame. Arrows clinked harmlessly off his golden scales. "I'm off to see my mother," Edward screamed down noting to the upturned faces of his stepmother and her red-haired sons. Roanne had a fur-trimmed robe clutched around her, but her long hair floated wildly. 4 pairs of eyes fastened on him, not Morlane, glittering with fury and hatred. Edward stopped waving and clutched Shag tightly with both hands. Morlane's mail-clad arm was securely about his waist. Edward slumped against him, feeling quite safe for the first time in a very long while. The bowmen had stopped shooting. Most of them were looking at the royal family. The king danced with rage. The great dragon's wings beat harder now, and they headed due south over the water. "Aren't we going to Ebonheart?" The boy twisted around and looked up at Morlane. "Your mother awaits you at Firsthold in Somerset, little prince." "Why did you wait so long to fetch me?" "Querulous child, do you think dragons and unicorns do the bidding of elves or men?" "Your mother came to me full willing, but she could not bring you. You were too closely guarded by your father's men. Would you have had us lay waste your land to take you by force? She thought you would be safe and cared for, and she was desperate. No, this was the dragon's plan." Now, before I continue, I like King Edward so far. I'm assuming, like, not so much like, I like this story, and I like this, this child. He's like a small, excited, like, he's so excited about everything. At first he's scared about everything, and then he's so excited about it. And I like the mention of Ebonheart, so we get the feeling that this is some sort of dark elf that comes from Morrowind. But, I still don't know what Akatosh has to do with anything, and why this child is so important. I'm assuming this child's a Breton. But let's continue. Of all the astonishing events of the afternoon, this was the most surprising, the notion that a dragon should take an interest in him, when not even his own family did. But willing, the elf said, full willing. "You are the focus of large events, youngling. Your task is to prepare yourself to be a king such as your people have never known. Our task is to aid you. Sleep now." Waves of sleep assaulted Edward's mind, one after another. But he meant to ask Morlane about his mother. But the last wave was too big. It crashed right over him, and he slipped into dark, fire-shot dreams. And, overall, I think that was an interesting book. It almost kind of started as almost like a fantasy book that you would read as a kid, like some fancy cover, something with, like, for example, like a cover by Hildebrandt. I was almost getting those sort of vibes, right? And, like, the artist Hildebrandt. And if you don't know who he is, he makes these very vibrant fantasy covers. Something I would have read a long time ago. It makes me feel nostalgic, that book, if it makes any sort of sense. It was a good book, but I'm kind of curious what Akatosh has to do with King Edward. Kind of makes me want to collect the other parts or buy them at a bookstore in the game if I see any more, because I'm very curious about what all of that was about. I like King Edward. He's very excited about everything. But I think that is the end of this video, and in the next video we will continue the main quest. And thank you for sticking around.